Hey, Bart Miller here with Cycling Strong. We're here at Interbike 2013 having an absolute blast. We're here at the Felt Bicycles booth, and we've got Ben with us. He's the expert on all the road bikes. He's going to walk us through this bike step by step, tell us all the new amazing, cool things that are coming out. So, Ben, take it away.
All right, this is our new 2014 AR. We've done a lot to this bike. We completely redesigned it for 2014. We've done things, we've added a tapered steer tube to increase the handling, so you get a much stiffer front end. But it's actually an 1.25 inches to an 1.8 inches tapered steer tube. We refer to that as aero taper. That allows us to reduce the frontal area while still keeping a very stiff front end.
What do you mean by a stiff front end? Talk a little bit more about that. I mean, how does that help a guy that's my size, 130 pounds, I'm racing, am I gonna get a full flex out of this bike the way I need to when I'm ready to accelerate? Is that what it's doing for me? I mean,
yeah,
what is this gonna do for me?
When you're out of the saddle, really putting pressure into the bars, going through a turn, you're not gonna feel any deflection. It's gonna help you power through that turn, make sure that the bike is handling the way it should be. You won't be going the wrong way. It just helps you track.
Good.
So that's where that front end, that tapered steer tube comes into play.
Awesome.
Now, one thing I do want to point out though is our engineers, they go through every bike, every size, and make sure the layup's just right. So even though it's super stiff up front, it's still going to be a very compliant fork. Nice. And that's one thing that we did a lot on this bike, is actually compliance was a big thing for us for 2014 on the AR. We've done things like remove the brake bridge back here from the seat stays, allowing us to really tune the layup of the seat stays.
Right.
So you're able to get a much more compliant ride while still maintaining the stiffness.
Very cool.
This area is really not built for braking. If you have to really overbuild this area, because the brake just puts a lot of force to the front of the wheel.
Sure does.
But down here, the bottom bracket area, that's super overbuilt already for stiffness and power transfer. So we added the new Shimano direct mount style brakes.
You gotta love that.
Moved that away, so you're getting a very compliant seat stay while getting your braking and stiffness down here in the bottom bracket area.
Very nice.
Also, we've partnered with 3T this year, and we've created what we call a comfort module, and it's a polymer that we actually put in the seat clamp area here, and that actually adds an additional comfort. That comes from the big machining industrial area, and where they put machines in the ground, and they put a big polymer where they bolt the machines in, distribute the vibrations in the machine, prevent the foundation from cracking. So we've taken that same technology, put it in our seats to help dampen even more road vibration.
Nice.
Because with our aerodynamic road frames, they actually typically have a bad name when it comes in terms of compliance and comfort.
Right.
So we've done all we could to combat that and create a very compliant while stiff aerodynamic road frame.
Nice.
So also for this bike, we've added a BB30 bottom bracket
to
increase your power transfer and stiffness in the back here. And also we've redesigned all the airfoils this year, so a little bit deeper, a little bit wider. We refer to them as constant aspect airfoils. They're designed for road racing bikes, not a triathlon bike like our IA over there, which is an all aspect. It'll vary in speeds from an Ironman distance to a sprint distance triathlon.
Oh, very cool.
This one is constant. It's built just specifically for road racing. That 17 to 30 mile an hour area. So these airfoils are optimized for that speed. We've also added this little gap shield. You'll notice a cutout here and a few airfoils down here in the chainstays. We refer to that as gap shield. That helps all this wind that's created by the wheel as it's spinning. It helps maintain that wind and really optimize it to go where it should be on the airfoils. So we refer to that as gap shield. So it handles a lot of that dispersion of wind back here.
Okay, good.
And that's optimized for your deeper wheels as well. Now the trend is wider and deeper. So we've really optimized our bike to handle that additional wind and additional forces.
Wow, you guys have done a lot this year on this bike. I mean, that's a big difference from what you had last year and thought through extremely well.
Yeah, this bike has been in development for a long time now. Pretty much as soon as we released the old AR back in 2008, we've been working on ways to improve that. So we've been working on this bike since 2008, and it's gone through many iterations, but we're finally ready to launch it here for 2014.
Very nice. So, any other amazing things that we should show everybody out there?
Also the seat clamp. This is our new patented seat clamp design. With a traditional seat post, they have to be overbuilt in order to take the clamping forces. So what we've done, instead of clamping the seat post, we're actually pushing out on the seat post.
Nice.
So if you actually grab the seat post, you can feel how thin it is. And what that does, it allows us to make a very lightweight seat post. Once again, a very compliant seat post because it's so thin. And you can actually see the slit in here actually allows it to vibrate independently of each other. So that also helps once again with compliance. But that's actually a very cool thing. It actually pushes the seat post against the frame. It also allows us as a frame maker not have to rely so much on strict tolerances, because you're pushing the seat post and binding it against the frame instead of clamping it and sliding it up and down and telescoping it.
Very nice. Fit-wise, I mean, easy to fit most clients. I mean, how does the the range for fitting all the people working?
Yeah, it's actually a very compliant bike, or it's very easy to fit someone on this bike.
Yeah.
It mirrors our F-Series geometry very closely. It's a little bit taller head tube on the AR series, but even on our low end, our AR5 series, or our more value-oriented bikes, we actually include 2 cone washers with them, a 20 millimeter and then a 5 millimeter. So you're able to mirror the geometry of our Z series pretty closely, keep a very upright feel while still getting an aerodynamic bike. But it also has a 4.5 cone washer, allowing you to get to that F series fit, that very low racer-oriented fit. And also all our ARs are coming with deep drop bars, so it'll put the bars very low, so you'll be able to get in a very low aerodynamic aggressive position.
Okay, so the one question we had on the blog that we had out there was, are they going to come out with one with disc brakes on it? And so I answered the question by saying, yeah, well, we got a cyclocross bike out there that has disc brakes on it. I'm sure they could bring it over to their road technology. Now, are you going to do that? What's the answer there on that?
You know, road disc brakes, that's a very interesting topic for us.
Yeah.
And you did make a good point with our cyclocross bikes. One thing I always like to point out to people on our cyclocross bikes is they're not just race bikes.
Yeah.
Our F65X we have over here is actually a bike that's raced and commuted on. So that bike really fits that sort of that road disc brake market right now. If we were to go redesign a road bike like our F Series and create a disc brake road bike, it would be a very close geometry to our current cyclocross bikes. So if you want a disc brake road bike that's currently in our lineup, I would say look to our FX series.
Okay.
In terms of disc brakes, for us looking towards the future, it's definitely something we're watching closely. But I think the market hasn't really sort of determined where that's going. You know, disc brakes aren't very optimized for road in terms of aerodynamics and heat dispersion. And I think the disc brake technology needs to catch up a little bit in terms of the road market. And I think the market really needs to point out where that direction's going. You'll notice companies like Colnago, they have a road racing disc bike.
Yeah.
Then you'll notice companies like Specialized that have a more comfort, endurance-oriented disc brake bike. And then you have other companies like Salsa and Niner that come out with gravel road bikes, and those have disc brakes. So where is that market? Is it going to be in all those segments? I don't think so. The UCI has already said no disc brakes right now. So right now we're looking very closely at it. We're going to pick the right market for right now, but I think you'll see something in the very near future from us in terms of disc brakes for sure on the road end.
Okay, good. I think that's a great answer. And like I've said out there before on the blog before is that I think Felt is in an ideal situation for clients right now. They're not too big to listen to you, and yet they're not too small to make amazing technology and have the staffs to make these bikes that are just absolutely crushing the market out there. So I think they're a real company to keep your eye on and see where they're headed. So that being said, we're going to wrap up this segment on this amazing bike for this point in time on the AR, and we're going to move to another bike with Ben and chat a little bit about that. So if you have any comments or suggestions for Felt, please make them below. We're going to give this link to Felt so they'll be able to answer those questions and take care of you and keep cycling strong.